What's up, everybody? It's me. It is PLD.
And I'm Richard-Erik Jarvi.
We are gunnerless today. We have no gunner. We are defenseless. This is not a good week to have no gunner when you're talking about needing to fight off a bunch of aliens. But we will do what we must. Matty is taking a week off, a little bit of a recharge, which he definitely deserves. So, Matty, we wish you well. Hopefully, we will see you in the chat. Take a rest, my friend. So it's just OG today. It's just the two of us, my friend. Like back to the original.
And of course, just like the OG times, you messed up the intro again.
What are you
were supposed to say "Welcome to Class Action" now, and I was supposed to say the classiest part.
That's true. Well, without Matty Gunner, we are like a ship without a. I don't know. Whatever.
Gunnerless. We're like Ripley in Alien 1.
That's right. Much different Ripleys, aren't they? This is going to be a fun episode, I think, to discuss. We decided to go OG here. When we first started the action, class action, obviously we were on an action movie on the Action Industries channel, which was part of the Action Movie Anatomy brand, so to speak. And we really started by doing a lot of these type of old school action movie anatomy movies against each other. It really felt like a real branching out from Action Movie Anatomy, but then we went kind of did our own thing. We've done a lot more recently. We would never do some of the matchups we've done more recently, but this just felt like a good time to go, you know what, fuck it, let's go OG. Let's go OG.
Let's do something that we really love, and it's very close to something that we almost did like a while ago, because it sounded sort of familiar when I was pitching the idea that we should do Alien something. And the fact was we actually did the Terminator franchise against the Alien franchise.
That's what it was.
So that's something that we did.
It's kind of funny how bad we are at our jobs in terms of that, because like just quite frankly, like I used to laugh at Benninger. We used to watch Benninger all the time, and they would have something be like, oh, what did you do this movie? And they'd already done it, or they didn't remember doing a movie. And I'm like, how could you not remember? And then like we pitch every week, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't remember if we did that or not, because I'm them now in a way. So I did have that same thought. I was like, we considered a bunch of different things. We actually talked about Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard was another one we talked about. Like, didn't we do that at one point? We actually had done Lethal Weapon 2 versus Die Hard 2 versus Beverly Hills Cop 2 and somehow a weird tournament we did.
I think that was it, yeah.
But it's one of those things I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we did. Maybe we didn't. But who knows? You know, it's Christmas time. Maybe Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard will be our Christmas episode, because they're both Christmas movies, you know.
What could we put against Die Hard? Like a Christmas action movie?
Lethal Weapon. Is it actually technically a Christmas movie?
No.
Yes. Watch Lethal Weapon again. Takes place at Christmas time, my friend. Gary Busey saying "fuck Christmas" is in the movie, I believe.
So are you sure we just did Die Hard 2 versus Lethal Weapon 2?
I am sure we did, because we wanted to do the sequels, because the idea was we wanted to do the idea came from Beverly Hills Cop 2, because we wanted to do a Tony Scott movie. That's what it was. It was Tony Scott, Beverly Hills Cop. And we thought, well, let's do some other sequels of the time. So we'll do Lethal Weapon 2 and we'll do Die Hard 2. That's how it all kind of began. So I don't know. I think an OG Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard might be the way to go.
I wouldn't be opposed to that if you say Lethal, because I've seen Lethal Weapon 2 a few times. I can't remember the first one. So if you say it's a Christmas movie, so that's something I was thinking we should definitely do something Christmassy, but it's really tough putting Christmas movies against one another, because they're usually, I don't know, they're kind of different. There's nothing really that comparable.
The Weapon would be a great one to go against it, though. I think those two are the seminal action movies of the 80s to a degree. So
do you think Lethal Weapon would even have a chance?
I think so. I mean, Lethal Weapon 1 is a very classic for a reason. I mean, you know, it depends on the categories. You know that, man. You know. But speaking of Christmas movies, I will say that Kim, my wife Kim, who very rarely listens to anything I do podcasting wise, she has no idea what I do on these podcasts, did all of a sudden come up to me one day and said she wanted a podcast where I do the top 10 Christmas movies. And I was like, like I almost feel like I should encourage that behavior in terms of like, at least she's interested in something I'm doing. So you might see that on PLD Project at some point. I don't know if it's going to be a class action or 2 Mediocre White Dudes or whatever, but maybe I'll do a top 10 Christmas movies.
I think it's a good idea. And I think it should be. So I think this is just me pitching it. I think it would be more interesting if all 4 of us kind of vote and then you tally up the top 10.
Okay, I kind of like that. You, me, Matty, and PJ. We can do that possibly. Christo's in the chat. Good to see you, Christo. Lethal Weapon does kick ass. I agree.
What's up, Christo? Is that a new overlay or something?
What? So
It
it's
looks different.
it's the minimalist thing, yeah. Because like I can actually take it's because of the banners. It's one of the things I do. I actually had the banners up since I forgot we have without Matty Gunner here. We have the old school, or actually the new school, I should say, one that Jacob Patrick did, which is our, gives us our names. I decided to, when he's not there with PJ, I would actually show the display names like old school, and then you can pick different ways to do it. And it also changes the comments. So if I do it that way, I put the comment up, it's more like it used to be kind of thing, or depending on it's different things you do. But I realized I don't have to have that because I found in there, I can unshow the display names because we have the old school class actions thing still
yes
in the there. So I'm going to go with that instead. I guess that's what we'll do. Anyway, we're going to kind of rant and rave in here a little bit. Speaking of Christmas stuff, I will say one more thing about Christmas movies, and maybe we will do exactly what you said. Did you get to see Spirited, by the way?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Spirited yet. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Oh!
Spirited is still on my list.
Guardians of the Galaxy, that was a fun one. That was a cute one.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a lot of fun.
It's interesting that I will say that I did get to see Spirited. It was part of the Regal mystery movie thing they do every once in a while. So I have it's one of those. You pay $5, you go in there, you get to see whatever they decide to show you. It was actually surprisingly good. I'm not a big fan of Will Ferrell, like later years. Reynolds. I like Ryan Reynolds, but I guess he's, your miles may vary. He's basically Ryan Reynolds in every movie. So I didn't think this was going to be a good idea. Him and old Will Ferrell doing a musical just sounded like an awful idea. And yet it was surprisingly charming. I can't lie. So I wonder if that will make my top 10. I don't know.
Would it? Oh, really? Like top? Because there are so many great Christmas movies.
There are, which is probably why I won't. I probably will throw it in an honorary mention kind of list, just because it's so recent. Also, it's hard to put them up against like the classics of the past. We got one viewing, and so who knows?
Oh, I'm excited to watch it. I think the same. I think Will Ferrell in his later years, he's still amusing. He's still funny. He's still one of the greatest comedic actors ever, in my opinion. But Ryan Reynolds, yeah, I agree. I think he's doing the same thing. It can work, but I think that's kind of the point for Spirited, just to keep you in that comfortable zone, give you exactly what you expect, and sort of just dance, sing, familiar story. There you go.
Familiar story, but it does have some clever twists in it. So that's what worked for me. But that's not Christmas time yet. Let's get out of this. Let's get into what we're here for today. We are in here for a sweet one today. Old school, like I said, Alien versus Aliens. We got James Cameron, your boy, James Cameron. Maybe PJ is not in the chat, or else it would have lit up already.
Thank God.
You got it. It's funny as hell. By the way, I should actually throw that out there real quick before we get into it. I don't know. You didn't see the chat that blew up in the PLD projects, the Patreon chat there. PJ did notice that James Cameron's already working on Avatar 6 and 7. Like he's already making plans for it. He's already filmed. Much. It's too much. Even you say that.
No, yeah, but with 6 and 7 is way too much. I think 3 is enough.
He's already filmed 3. Did you know that?
No. He's filmed 80% of the second one.
No. The second one's coming out.
There was an interview just released like a week ago or something. He's filmed 80 to 85% of the second. No, sorry, the third one.
Yeah.
The second one's coming out now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that PJ quoted said the second film was done. The third film was done. He had wrapped filming on the third one and had already filmed some of the fourth one. That's what the new
I've heard stuff about that. I think they filmed bits and pieces of 3 and 4 as they shot the second one, but that still leaves 5, 6, 7.
It's ridiculous.
But I don't think he's doing it. I think he's passing the baton to whoever.
I can't even believe he would do that. I would be surprised, but I was surprised to say that it looked like 3 was Avatar 3 times with PJ will appear. Good to see you, Matty, in the chat as always. We have a lot to talk about, Matty. We have some ideas for next week. We have to touch base with, but you're on your break right now, so you're fine. But I would know it was very. I was surprised you didn't say that, but but PJ brought it in with a big "fuck you" kind of emo gif about it. It says James Cameron already has plans for. This is the tweet. James Cameron already has plans for Avatar 6 and 7 should there be demand for them. Avatar 3 has wrapped filming, and production of Avatar 4, which is already shot 1/3 of the film, is currently under the way in New Zealand. So Avatar 3 has wrapped filming. Just saying.
I think 3's enough. I think there's no need for more.
And if you're saying that, that's a problem.
Yeah, I love James Cameron. He's my favorite, but I want him doing new things as well. This is what we want. Excessive.
All right, let's speak of James Cameron. Let's get back into Alien versus Aliens. One fun thing I have to mention right from the get-go about the Alien franchise is it's hard to fathom. Now, granted, I know what people are going to say, but just even on the service level alone, the first 3 Alien films, Ridley Scott, James Cameron, David Fincher.
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable. Now,
That's crazy.
Supposedly his worst film. He was taken off. It wasn't really his film at the end. Just a lot of studio interference, yada, yada, yada. But even the idea of that being happening, of Scott, Cameron, Fincher, that's just unbelievable to me. So that's a great franchise to get into. Of course, the first one is not exactly the household name either, so we're not going to talk about him. But we'll get into today's topic. Alien versus Aliens was something that we brought up, and it seemed like such a great idea to tackle because they are in the same franchise, yet they couldn't be more different thematically, really. Not thematically, just tonally speaking. I mean, Alien 1 is really a horror movie. Aliens is a sci-fi action movie. So how can you almost even compare them?
Actually, I think there's a bit of a misconception about Aliens. People like saying that. I'm getting way ahead of myself because that's actually one of my arguments for a later category. But I think Aliens is way scarier than people give it credit to. Because there's more things, it's bigger. They say it's less scary. No, I think there's way more jump scares in Aliens than there are in Alien, to be honest. But still, I'm gonna agree with you there that it's definitely the more blockbustery of the two, and they are very different. But I don't know, now and again I keep getting into discussions with people who likes Alien more, who likes Aliens more, so they are kind of tough to compare. But I think the categories that we have, I think we're going to do a good job here, and I think it's going to be an interesting discussion.
I think so as well. Jesse Swift, of course, from Flickin' Real. For me, Alien is a better use. The premise, Aliens is fantastic. I just prefer the first, exactly kind of thing you're talking about.
There's exactly a category named just like what he said. Better premise.
Better premise, better tones. Exactly. We're going to get to there. We got 5 categories, of course, today. Not 6, just 5. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But before we get there, let's play our game. This is the game that's going to be developing. It will be changing up soon, but we decided without Matty here, we wanted to do the OG style. What would Ed Harris play? Of course, we all know that Ed Harris, the greatest character actor of all time and one of the legends of the silver screen. His birthday was just the other day. Happy birthday to Mr. Harris.
Happy birthday to Ed Harris.
And we're gonna use him in the films. We recast somebody that's in the film, or we can write in a new role that he would make, because anytime you put Ed Harris in a movie, he makes it better. That's just simple facts. So we have 2 movies to recast him with. Jarvi, what is your recasting choice for Ed Harris in Alien, the original?
All right, in Alien, I went more the obvious route. So there was a few choices, but I would like to recast Ed Harris as the leader of the group. I would have him as Dallas.
Gotcha.
I think Tom Skerritt does a fine job, but it doesn't really do much. And I know acting wise, there aren't a lot of juicy roles in that one. There are not a lot of roles, period. But there's something, I don't know, kind of too ordinary about Tom Skerritt. I think Ed Harris will definitely give more of an authoritative figure right there, because I think Tom Skerritt sort of if Tom Skerritt would like give me an order, I would be like, sure. I'd be like Harry Dean Stanton, like he was there, like, yeah, right. If Ed Harris gave me an order, I'd be fucking right there, man. I'd be doing that shit.
I would more scary. Ed Harris with the Alien. That's a good call. Although, interestingly enough, I would say your interesting point is that's Tom Skerritt's character. Dallas actually does remind me a little bit of Ed Harris's character in The Abyss, though. It's a much more laid back type of character. Although Ed Harris is still more passionate, I think, in The Abyss. Sure. But it does kind of give you that same like everyman kind of leader vibe, which I kind of like. I kind of dig. So I didn't just see that. That's a good call. Before I go into mine, I just want to say here, Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. This show deserves more attention. Great premise, great host. Ed Harris is Wayland, obviously, right? Hey, that's not a bad call. That's not a bad call at all. And Ed Harris, face hugger. Matty, I thought about that. I did think about that because I would love Ed Harris to hug my face. Wait, what?
Whoa.
Never mind. Yes, let's move on.
Happy birthday, Ed Harris. Let's leave it there.
Let's leave it there. And that's actually another great point from Jesse there. Ed Harris's Dallas is great. I wonder if it would detract from how much attention Sigourney draws as Ripley. Because I guess Dallas, because Tom Skerritt, I think what he's saying is that Tom Skerritt is such kind of like a blank slate kind of everyman character that allows Ripley to shine in her moments, which is an interesting point. I wonder how the dynamic would change. But we will never know, unfortunately. But it's a good concept. So for me, for Alien, I did go through. I actually considered Dallas at one point. It was one of the things I thought.
I think I know what you did.
All right, go ahead. Give me a guess.
Can I guess?
You can guess.
I think you have Ed Harris as Ash.
Ash, Ian Holm.
Yeah,
that is actually one of the things I chose. Actually, I had two choices, and that's the one I went with. I will say the one I threw out that I considered doing is I'm going to change the voice of Mother to Father, and Harris be the computer voice.
Father.
To be Father, but it is actually. I did go with Ash because I think it's be kind of cool. He has an intensity, obviously, especially when he breaks through and starts beating the shit out of Sigourney Weaver at the end there. I think Ash as an alien android, as Ed Harris, would be intense. I would love to see him playing. I mean, he already does a good job playing a robot at one point. He's the host in Westworld season 4, so it would be perfect for him in that way. I do like that. Ed Harris intensity would work, so I'll give you that, and we will go from there. All right, now let's move on to the other film then, Aliens. I think I have a decent one for this. Can't wait.
Do you want to start?
No, I'd rather close it out. Go ahead, go through Aliens.
Okay, this is where there are so many great choices for Ed Harris because this pretty much is like The Rock in space.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I want Ed Harris to be kind of the wimpy one now. So I have Ed Harris as Lieutenant Corman.
Okay.
But that requires a bit of because Corman redeems himself at the end when he blows himself up with Vasquez, but I want him sort of growing more when he gets hit in the head, then he sort of starts to take control, starts to be the man in charge, and then finally redeems himself when he blows himself up. So I think Corman kind of at the very end, the original actor, I can't remember his name, but I think Ed Harris would sort of, the final moment when he's blowing himself up, I think Ed Harris would sort of cement him as a freaking hero who completely redeemed himself.
I like that. I do like that a lot. Real quick, Jesse saying, I would love you guys to pitch franchise concepts. It doesn't have to be a full story. Just where would PLD take the Alien franchise? We actually do that sometimes on Class Action. A lot of times, sometimes we have a category of future, better possible future.
Better prospect or something?
Better prospects. We've done that before. This actually would have been a good one to do, to be completely honest with you. But
how do you do it? Because they were both in the same franchise.
Right. But it'd be like, how would you take it? Would you take it from the Alien side? Would you take it more of the Alien side? Which direction would you go, maybe?
True.
In a way.
And
back from all of those.
Cut out. Okay, he's back.
I'm back. Am I cutting out?
You're a bit laggy lately. I think it's in your part, but it's fine. You're back now.
Okay, I'm back. As long as I'm back now.
So you were saying that they probably have gone the Alien route so far because Prometheus kind of more dialed down, and Alien Covenant was trying to do what Alien did,
I will throw it out there. I mean, it's something I would do I would get into a much bigger discussion about it. But Alien, to me, Prometheus was a wonderful, wonderful re-entry to the franchise. I was actually a little disappointed in Covenant because I felt like Ridley Scott kind of gave into the fans. Some fans had been very kind of upset that they're trying to we need more aliens, we need more action stuff, and more of the actual alien itself. And I wanted to explore more of the behind the scenes stuff, the engineers, the engineers and that kind of stuff that they were going with the whole of the world. That's what I was going to want to see more of. But yet he tried to find a way to appease both sides. And kind of just felt like it was a lesser product. I still like Covenant. I still had a good time with Covenant, but it wasn't. I wanted more from Prometheus. From where Prometheus had laid out the. I think
he should just. I don't think he has enough time or sort of resources to do enough movies now in his older age. But just write a book, or because I'm sure there's a script out there, Prometheus 2. There has to be something out there. I think I've heard something about it.
The
Just
original.
release it as a novel or something.
Yeah,
I would be happy about that one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too, to see where it would have gone, the OG versus Sunray. Matty saying Prometheus never sat with him for some reason.
I get it. A lot of people have been saying that, but I think it's not just a great alien movie. I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm such a big fan of Prometheus.
I am too, and I think I actually also agree. But Matty, I'd like you to give it a shot. Give it a shot without thinking too much that you're watching an alien movie in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that might be the stumbling block for you potentially. But either way, we'll get there. That's actually something we'll do eventually. Maybe we'll do Prometheus versus Covenant at some point. Who knows? We're going to do a lot of these, I think, down the line. We have a lot of franchise movies to cover. So eventually, I just talked to Jarvi off air before, and I want to do Alien 3 versus Alien Resurrection. Maybe not next week, but maybe sometime in the near future, potentially.
I want to watch those movies. I've seen bits and pieces here and there, but I was thinking, because I watched Alien, I watched Aliens, I was like, I want to keep that momentum going. I want to keep watching those movies, and I don't have enough time to sort of watch everything. I have to pick my battles now.
Right.
I definitely be into that, but I think we're getting away from your Aliens recap.
I am, but I do have one more question I have to ask, because did you actually watch the Aliens theatrical cut or the director's cut for this?
I only watch the director's cut.
Same.
I think Aliens needs the director's cut in a
fully
big way.
100% agree, and we're going to talk about that probably during our categories. But on that note, if you do watch Alien 3, you should watch the assembly cut, which is one that they did that was closer to David Fincher's vision in a way. But either way, okay, going back to my recast, and we're going to recast Ed Harris and Aliens. What I'm going to do is, instead of recasting someone, I'm actually going to do one of my famous write their own roles. Now, here's my pitch. Ed Harris as the partner of Paul Reiser's character, Carter Burke. What he is actually on the colony world. And the pitch is that Paul Reiser and the company knew what was going on, sent Ed Harris ahead of time to kind of set up the colony, and they were going to use the colonists. They knew what was going on. They're going to use the colonists for exactly what the aliens used them for. So behind the scenes, you find out that Carter Burke knew the whole time what was going on, because they're looking for the humans, the colonists, and they find the aliens. But somewhere in the back of the facility somewhere, you'd find Ed Harris sitting there being in charge the whole time, going, Paul Reiser, talking to Carter Burke, I'm delivering the aliens hybrids to you. This is how we're going to get these home. So Ed Harris, you have to fight not only the aliens, but you have to fight Ed Harris, who's kind of almost like in charge of the aliens. He can't be in command of the aliens per se, but he knows enough that he can use them to surface his own needs or whatever. He guides them in a way without telling them what to do, kind of thing. And he's really the big dirtbag of the whole thing. Maybe Ed Harris in charge.
I love that idea, and I think it would also bring a really cool dynamic. How would Bishop interact with the Ed Harris character? Because Bishop is the one who sort of has a very scientific approach. He's trying to get to know the aliens. So Ed Harris already knows the aliens. So there's, when he's sort of at first just faking it that he's one of the good guys, they sort of get into the lab, talk about stuff, sort of. But would you have Ed Harris as an android or just a human?
I didn't really go that far in the concept, but now you mention it, I think an android would work very well.
Right?
I mean, part of me wanted Ed Harris to be human only because I wanted him to be in charge. Like, he would be the one that was doing it for Carter Burke, but maybe it's better to do it the flip side, and Carter's in charge of him as an android. But Ed Harris flips.
Doesn't know that he's an android.
Exactly. That's something. He flips and he takes command. Kind of like, therefore, you can have android versus android at the end. I love where this is going. This is a great concept.
Aliens versus androids. You heard it here first.
Yes, let's do it.
Well, there's no way of hiding this. You win this recast.
You like that one? Okay. All right, I'll take it. I really like that. That was fun. All right, let's get into it now. Let's get into the meat of the show, so to speak. If you are new here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you like what you're doing, you like what you're hearing. Leave some comments. We're trying to get a little advance here. We have about 307 subscribers. We're on the march to 500. Let's get to 500. Then we'll get to 1,000. Let's see. Let's make this happen. A lot of content coming your way. So definitely hit that like, hit the subscribe. Let us know what you feel about us. Even if you don't like us, I'll take anything. Any comments are good comments as far as I'm concerned. I'll live to learn to regret that probably. But either way, let's get into the trial. In the trial, we got 5 categories. We got better xenomorph, better Ripley, better crew, better premise and tone, better rewatch. What's a more rewatchable film? But I did have to say, I have a little notepad I always keep when we're just scoring things. And I always try to do shorthand because it's quicker. It's harder to do shorthand when it's alien versus aliens. I actually have to write them both out because I can't do it. I'm like, I wrote aliens and I really underline the S, so I make sure I know I'm writing this in the right field.
You gotta keep scoring. It can get ugly if you don't.
That's true. When I don't keep score, shit happens, and we have to post retractions, and it's not good. It's not fun. But let's get into it, my friend. We'll start with better xenomorph, and we'll start with you, with your 5 pages of notes.
Yeah, this was actually just before the show. My Google account said that the the capacitor sort of had like reached the limit, and then I upgraded. But I thought that it actually deleted all of my notes, but fortunately, they're all still here.
He was very scared.
Yeah, better xenomorph. I feel like this is a discussion where it's very easy to fall into the trap of quantity over quality. I think Alien does a sort of like Jaws approach to it, very long, slow buildup to when we actually see the alien. And when the alien does show up, I mean, the xenomorph in this case, we can talk about the facehuggers as well, I feel like, but xenomorph sort of is the main attraction here. And when the alien does show up, it feels almost totally unkillable. It is menacing. It is an apex predator. You don't even think about the fact that there could be several of them. So one is more than enough. It haunts and hunts the crew. And, the tension building right there is what Ridley Scott does best. And talking about aliens, I think it's not about the fact that it's all quantity in this case. Because if you watch the director's cut, or what's the special cut or special edition, I think it's what it's called, it also has a very long buildup. It actually takes an hour and a half until we get the actual xenomorphs. And it takes a lot of time to set the story out. It is easy to fuck up the story if your premise is, I'm just gonna give you loads of aliens, just give you more enemies, and I think it's so easy. He could have gotten sort of lost there because the xenomorphs, they are killable, but they're also devastating and unstoppable as a force. And not once did I feel like, okay, I feel sort of more secure because there's so many of them that they're not just lurking around, they're everywhere, but they were still very menacing. And of course, there's the mother.
Right.
The mother that sort of gives you that exactly, the exact feeling that Alien did.
Right.
But I am still going to have to go with the original Alien. And I think the fact that it has a feeling that it's unkillable, it is killable, but like, I think it's also, and we'll get to the crew as well. The crew has a lot to do with this one because the crew they're not trained soldiers, but the alien sort of feels like like Mike Myers in this case, sort of like a unstoppable, devastating force. And I'll take like horror wise and like scare wise, I think I still have to go with this single enemy.
I can't really argue with that. I can.
You can go both ways here.
I went back and forth quite a few times.
Yeah, me too.
Because exactly what you said, like the alien just seems so special, right? It's just like it is amazingly strong. It is like you said, it's a horror icon. It's like watching Jaws. It's like having Michael Myers come in. All of it is just amazing, and the design it freaks me right out. It's pretty impressive. But then you do have the quantity of aliens, all the hive mind, the action sequence, the whole turret sequence in the special edition of Aliens.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so intense. It's so intense. And then it comes down to, man, the design of the queen bitch. Yeah. When she first sees that queen bitch, and like just look at like how amazingly powerful she is. I mean, it's kind of similar to the scene in Alien when Harry Dean Stanton sees it for the first time.
Yeah.
They're kind of like first time. It's almost like, well, you got to go bigger and better in the sequel, right? And that's what they do. They go bigger and better with the Alien at that point. Is it enough to win me over? Yeah, it is enough to win me over, I think, actually. I got to say, like, I love the original side of Alien. I love the horror side, me being a horror guy. But, man, the design of the Queen alone and that final battle with Ripley there with the whole thing, I got to give it the slight nod to Aliens. I feel like this is my entire saga. All these categories are the same way. I love both these films for such different reasons, and one barely is going to outvote the other one. For right now, though, it is Aliens over Alien for me.
I think there's one thing that I forgot to add why I love the sort of why I'm also giving it to Alien is because in Alien the xenomorph feels just like its instinct is only to kill without any thought or anything else. Sure, it hunts in a very sort of strategic way, but it's still just kill. What the Queen Mother sort of introduced is an actual, like you said, a hive mind, but there's also intelligence there. Like the way Ripley interacts, like, oh, I'm going to kill your babies, like, and they pull back. And when they're going against the turrets, they pull back. So there's sort of like intelligence there, but in a way that also kind of, so it doesn't humanize the characters, but it sort of gives them some sort of a, empathetic feeling, which is kind of a true strong of a word. But the fact that there's intelligent thinking there sort of makes it less menacing to me in a way. But that's not a bad thing either, but it's just sort of, I don't know, something about a single instinctive killer is what takes it for me.
I get that, and I totally, you're almost winning me over again. I go back and forth. It depends. Like a half an hour from now, I could totally come back and say, no, it's definitely Alien. But I just come back to a Queen is my favorite design overall, so I think that's the only thing that gives me the slight edge. I love that. I love that Queen. I love Queen. Let's move on then to category number 2. Better Ripley. Ooh, this is a tough
Sigourney versus Sigourney.
Okay, I'm gonna break this down.
Oh, you broke up there. Are you back?
Right. Am I back?
There you are.
Or might be. I gotta reset my internet or something. But either way,
you're good.
The funny thing about Alien to me is that, as a big horror fan, obviously, this really is much more of a horror film than a sci-fi film, and it came out right at the same time as Halloween did. And yet we always talk about Jamie Lee Curtis as the final girl, and Kara. What I said, Kara. What kind of a Halloween fan am I? Laurie Strode. I said Kara. So Laurie Strode is. I have no idea. I have not a clue. Laurie Strode is one of the greatest final girls of all time. She's the first real queen of the final girls. Sigourney Weaver came out a year later, and I think Ripley is one of the best final girls of all time as well. She fits that category completely well. And it's amazing to see the difference between Alien and Aliens as far as Ripley goes. In Alien, she fits the crew. She's very much a hard-nosed, but like very down-to-earth, every woman kind of part of the crew. She's not very extremely brave. She's brave, but she's not extremely brave. She's an actioner. She's not someone you would think is going to be an action star. She doesn't fight the alien so much as she kind of runs away from the alien. I mean, her final...
Stop reading my notes.
That's why you couldn't get them, because I was actually downloading them. I mean, her final battle with the alien is her in the shuttlecraft there, and she just basically tried to boot her out without... She's hiding for the most part. Then you juxtapose that with Aliens, and she's a hard ass almost from the get-go. I mean, just the way she interacts with Carter Burke. Another part of, by the way, another best part of the director's cut is that scene, which is a subtle scene, where Carter Burke talks about her daughter having passed away after 57 years because she's been gone for such a long time. It gives her such great motivation later on, with as far as like being with Newt and like being motherly towards Newt and everything else. But you give that and her relationship with the Marine Corps, so to speak, especially Michael Biehn. They have that. They share that close relationship, and I love the sequence.
What's Michael Bihn's first name in the movie?
Carter, right? Carter Hicks. Is it? Oh God, I feel like I know it, but I can't. I don't know. I don't remember. I can't remember now. Damn, what is it?
Dwayne.
That's right. It's Dwayne. I think you're right. Yes, he says it. He says it right away in there. I don't think I'm. Yeah. Yes, it is. It is Dwayne. Okay, cool.
Sorry, I kind of broke your train of
That's
thought
okay.
there.
No, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I love the scene when they break down the weapons and she's here showing her the guns, and then he's like, "You don't need that grenade launcher." He's like, "You started this. Tell me everything." And of course, he has the moment at the end, "Get away from her," the famous "Get away from her, you bitch," where she's really kind of stepping up. But it's a different. She goes from final girl to action heroine. I mean, like, she is really, she's just as much an action star as Arnold and Sylvester Stallone in this film by the end. I mean, that's how case it is. So it's like, I don't understand how to vote for this one because they're both such different characters. But I don't know which one you want to choose. I think I have to give the nod to Aliens. If only because it's it feels more original to me in terms of like, she's such a great final girl, but it is a year after Laurie Strode, like I said, and she does a good job with it. But having her step up and basically in a crew full of Marines, this down to earth like dock worker is the one that ends up kicking the shit out of the Queen alien. That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. So I'm going to give the nod to Aliens.
Good pick. Good pick. There's a lot of I'm in agreement with you most of the way. I think in Alien, Ripley doesn't even feel like the protagonist at first. It's mostly about Dallas and Kane. It feels like she's an every woman. She sort of blends in with the crew. She's just not a construction worker, but a mining worker, because they're all sort of piloting the mining vessel.
Right.
And she's got no training. She doesn't know how to fight. She has to find her footing and her strength. And I think, and it's not really strength when she's, like you said it yourself, she's not fighting the alien. She's sort of using her head, trying to get away. And then finally, she does manage to shoot it out the airlock. And I think that's how you portray a strong and independent female hero. She isn't instantly it, she becomes it. And I think that's what James Cameron does superbly. Like Sarah Connor, exactly the same case.
That's true.
Now, Aliens, and an Alien, she doesn't do anything too like overboard. She just does enough to defeat the xenomorph.
Yeah.
And in Aliens,
it is funny. I want to kind of interject real quick. It is funny.
Yeah.
You mentioned James Cameron doing it, and it's kind of like Ripley and Sarah Connor have a similar thing, because in the original Terminator, Sarah Connor is very much not the action hero. She's a final girl kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, it's like James Cameron does Aliens, makes Ripley the action hero, and goes, "Oh, we should do that. We need to do that for Sarah Connor." Sure enough, in T2, Sarah Connor is the badass motherfucker at that point. So interesting how Cameron decided to go that route. Interesting. Those are characters who actually imagine doing Ripley versus.
I was thinking about it actually when I was doing these categories. I was thinking about it. We could do that at some point for sure.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. We deal with a bunch of movies. They're both in the sequels anyway. Okay, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's go back to this one.
And James Cameron was also, I think he spoke up about when Wonder Woman came out. I think he said that it was actually a step sort of backwards towards strong female heroes or strong female characters on screen. And I love Wonder Woman. I love Gal Gadot. But I get his point. You give a woman superpowers and sort of that instantly makes you feel like, okay, she's this all great, like powerful female hero, when she doesn't really have that sort of, she doesn't have a journey to get, like she has a journey, but she has those powers regardless of what happens to her. I think that's what James Cameron does very well. He gives those female characters a lot to sort of overcome, and they're not supernatural. They're pretty much your every woman type of character. Now, when we get to Aliens, Ripley is already an established badass, but with a lot of trauma and baggage. And she has to come to terms with the past, has to acclimatize with the new world that she woke up in. Eventually, she very reluctantly goes back to LV-426, has to find her strength, sort of what is inside her, but she can't really access this at the moment because there's nightmares. She still feels like very much locked down. And I think this is where the special edition is necessary to watch against the cinematic version. The backstory about she actually having a daughter, I think that is the crux or sort of the meat of the movie that gives her the reason to become this badass again that she was sort of becoming in the first one. She has that newfound purpose with Newt. She manages to have some of the best action hero moments as well in this one. You said it, the get away from her, you bitch. When she drives through the wall with the armored car, I think that's sort of like first time when she's really taking control of a tough situation.
Right.
And there's another great one when she sort of goes down to save Newt from the face huggers. She goes down the elevator, has the flamethrower, and just does like just the look, the stare. You know, oh shit's about to go down. So regardless, this easily is Aliens for me as well.
Right. I can't argue about that. Obviously, I do know what you mean. I like the idea. One of the best sequences in the film for me is when she does go after Newt, and she finds the locator beacon.
Yeah.
And then she has this like moment of, oh my God, it's over. And then she hears her
the scream
out or whatever. And also just like, boom, boom, let's go, bitch.
Yep.
But
it's so good.
All right, we'll move on to better crew. God, this was a hard one. Do you want to start this one?
Oh, I think this is my favorite category.
It is, because you got such a down home Earth crew. We have the Earth crew, and then we have a crew of Marines and much more
ultimate badasses.
Ultimate badasses. So which one do we like more? Real quick, Reefism in the chat there. Do we know about Ripley's daughter, the theatrical version of Aliens? I don't believe we do. I haven't watched the theatrical version in a long time. I don't think he's even mentioned, which is such a short taking of the character. But yeah, Kelly also
totally sort of the fact that Newt calls Ripley mom at the end at one scene is sort of like, oh, well, that was sort of wow, okay, that was fast. But if you watch the special edition, you build up to that. You know why it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
She tells Newt about her daughter. There was a very intimate, sort of lovable scene right there. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Better
crew. So Alien, like you said, it's a much more contained crew. We got Dallas, Kane, Lambert, Brett, Ash, and Parker. I think John Hurt and Ian Holm, sort of those two have sort of the most character work to be done when it comes to performances. But I think aside from these two, and not considering Ripley here, I think the rest are kind of, I don't know, they're sort of just alien fodder. So there's a few. I think I'm not a big fan of Tom Skerritt in this movie. I think Harry Dean Stanton, sure, he has that right. He's kind of like a comedic relief in some way. And the other two characters kind of, I don't know, they don't really do that much for me. But overall, I think the fact that these are, the working man type characters, the fact that they're totally unprepared for the alien, they're flawed, they're more interesting that way. I think Kane has one of the all-time greatest horror movie scenes ever when John Hurt sort of, the alien pops through his stomach and when they're having dinner right there. And Ash slowly starts to lose his shit. I think the fact, like, now we all know when we start watching the movie, we know that Ian Holm we don't know that Ian Holm is an android. So you kind of build up to that point. And when he finally starts sweating white, you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? I think that's brilliantly written storyline. But I don't think it's enough to put it up against Aliens. I mean, that's sort of, it's not an all-star cast, but it feels like it's an all-star cast. Everyone is unique. Everyone has their own thing. We got Burke, played by Paul Reiser. I think he's one of the best shit weasels next to Xander Berkeley. There's no one tops Agent Gibbs. Bill Paxton, your lovable idiot who has, the best lines in the movie by far. Game over, man. Michael,
they're in charge.
Now what the fuck we gonna do? Michael Biehn as Corporal Hicks. Now he's sort of your main action hero in the group, like the good guy, very capable. Yet he does have sort of that charisma as well that is needed there. And Apon, Lieutenant Gorman, Vasquez, Drake, and to top it all off, Lance Hendrickson as Bishop. I mean, every one of these characters has like awesome moments in there. And I think it's also, I think James Cameron, just like with the Xenomorphs, he expanded the crew. They gave us a lot more, but none of the characters suffer from the fact that there are so many of them. Sure, some of them kind of die fast, but I think all of them are very memorable, and they all get to shine. So I think the crew is what makes Aliens such a fun experience, and yeah, I'm going with Aliens.
Okay, all right, I get that. I absolutely get that. This is the one I went back and forth with the most. I think at the end of the day, it just ends up being personal preference. We come down to, I think Aliens has higher highs, but Aliens crew is more consistent. I want to say that I will cancel out Henriksen and Ian Holm. They both do their jobs particularly well, so I'll cancel them out. I think the Alien does a great job of, again, showing that every man of the whatever century it is. Like, it's such a low thing. I love Yaphet and Harry Dusan. They're talking about like the bonuses. It's such a deep thing to me. I love that. How, like, but yet Yaphet comes in and kicks some ass when he needs to. Veronica Cartwright as Lambert. She's kind of she has this like strange aspect to her. She's like the audience in a way. She really is kind of like that viewpoint of the audience's fears in a way. So I do like what she does. Tom Skerritt, again, I think what it comes down to is if you put too much of a strong, charismatic person in charge there, it takes away from Ripley. I do think that's the case. Ripley needs to be able to step up and kind of take command there, especially at the part where she wants to keep John Hurt Kane out after she gets, because she's trying to do what her job is supposed to be, and she fights Skerritt on that. So I think everybody in this film is perfectly placed and does their job right to a better degree, I would even say, than Aliens. At the same time, because a lot of the Aliens crews to me is very kind of cartoonish and they seem to be very.
But they're not too cartoonish.
Some of them
are they too?
Some of them aren't. Some of them are. I feel like
Hey,
you've got
Hudson,
Al
you ever
Matthews
been mistaken for a
man?
You ever been mistaken for a man? No,
have you? I mean, Bill Paxton's fucking Bill Paxton. I love Bill Paxton.
Oh my God, he's the best.
And then he almost would tip it to Aliens for me just by him alone. Game over, man. Why don't you put her in charge? What was the other one he did? In case you haven't kept up with current events, we just got our asses kicked.
Like, it's freaking cold. Do you want me to get you some slippers? Yeah, that'd be real nice. Look into my eye.
Him and Vasquez are great.
Get over here.
Michael Biehn is great in this role. I like the fact that they could have made him alpha male supreme, but
they
he
could have
really
made him the action man. Yeah,
but he wasn't. He was kind of low key. I like that. Like when she's like, I believe Corporal Hicks is in charge now. He's kind of like, yeah, guess I am. I guess we take off and nuke it from orbit. Only way to be sure. God, this is very tough for me. But I think you're right. I think I got to give it to Aliens. I don't want to, because I want to give Aliens some love here. I wanted to throw Alien because I do love the specificness. Some of the specific roles I do, like I said, I think they're more consistent. There's nobody in Alien who really is just filling a role. They're all specifically there for a reason. Whereas Aliens, it's a couple of grunts that are out there. They do their thing. But damn, the heights. And Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser's a great.
Paul Reiser's so fucking good. And I think Lance Henriksen deserves a lot of credit for his portrayal as well.
So I will give it to Aliens. I will give it to Aliens. I feel bad doing it. But.
This actually, I'm going to give you props here because this is what I always say about the categories. This is not your favorite. This is based on the arguments, which seems objectively comes out on top. And with your sort of explanation, it is Aliens.
Yeah.
But I feel you're gonna flip. I feel you're gonna flip.
I might.
I feel like you're gonna flip your vote.
I will have to see. I have to the end of the show. We got a couple.
No, you can't do that. You can't go back to your vote.
I've done it before. You've done it before, actually.
No. Not when we're done with the category.
Okay, fine. That's fine. All right, we'll move on then. I'll stamp it quickly before we move on. Going on to better premise / tone. Obviously, this is the crux of the whole film, of the whole fight here. Real quick, R.I.P. Bill Paxton and Hurt in Spaceballs before Alien. I mean, John Hurt, right? But I get that. That's funny. That's true. I think I might have too. I might have as well. John Hurt is he does reprises the scene in Aliens pretty much, which is or in the Spaceballs rather, which is kind of funny. Okay, so I said it right from the get-go. We had Alien was a horror film. Aliens is a sci-fi action film. Aliens attempts to do some of the horror aspects still. It doesn't completely rely on sci-fi action. One of the best horror aspects of both films actually takes place in Aliens to me. I always mention this. This is like the scene that stuck with me since I first saw Aliens. I mean, I saw Aliens when I was pretty young. I'm not gonna lie. It's 86. I was
The
I was
facehugger
10
scene
there.
when they're sleeping?
I was like 13 or 14. No.
Oh.
I love the scene when they're in the lab or whatever that, I forget what room it is now. I think I just watched it, but the room is, and Vasquez is sealing the door, and
oh yeah,
12 meters, 10 meters, and they're like, that's impossible. I'd be inside the room. What are you talking about, man? And they're cleared up. Also, they realize they all at the same time just go. And then I can see, first of all, fuck you. I would never. I'm sorry, Michael Biehn. You're a braver man. I know it's written. It's a film. That character, like,
he's looking up when they're 2 meters away.
It's like, are you fucking kidding?
No way.
No fucking way. And that tension that James Cameron brought was phenomenal and one of the best horror parts of the entire saga. I'll be honest with you, the entire series. With that being said, I'm totally giving this tone overall to Alien for exactly that reason. Aliens is much more of a sci-fi action tone, which is fun. It's easy. It's definitely a fun romp and adds a little bit more to the just the fun side of things. Watching a lot of aliens get their asses kicked with machine guns. It's a fun war movie, but the care and the tone that Ridley Scott puts in Alien, which is this, the tagline is "No one in space can hear you scream."
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it. It's so isolating. It feels so. I feel like the whole time I watch this movie, my chest is like, there's like a heaviness in my chest. I feel like so alone. I feel so like the walls are closing in on me. It's so dark and dreary. And even like the everyday things, they're kind of like talking in everyday terms, but the tone itself feels just like, I can't even explain it. But like when the alien gets loose too, that's one of the first times when the alien gets loose, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? It's all about building up tension the entire film. And there's no let go. There's no let up in Alien. It's all from like zero, from the first frame to the last frame. It's all pretty much tension. And it's done so much, not that thing, but I feel like it's much easier to achieve the Aliens tone than it is to achieve the Alien tone and maintain the consistency of the Alien tone. So right away, I'm giving this one to Alien.
I think I agreed with you just up until the very last one where you said I think it's easier to achieve what Aliens did. I think James Cameron sort of balances that tension and action, and that action is so damn, because he's so damn good at that action, and he's the king of blockbuster. He's the king of like making grand movies. So it's kind of easy to just remember the awesome action parts, but so yeah, it very much is sort of the crux why people always compare these movies. You got the tightly wound scary horror movie versus one of the greatest blockbusters ever made. But I think Ridley Scott is one of the greatest directors when it comes to tone and ambience and setting. Like it's exactly what you said. He takes a pretty big and ambitious idea, having a futuristic setting where like miners are returning to Earth with their cargo, the way they encounter an alien planet that they discover, and they run into a new species and it starts attacking and killing the crew. There are so many things beneath the surface when it comes to story, like the fact that mining happens off planet from Earth. Sort of, there's something going on Earth. You're not sure why. What? They are mining somewhere else. No explanation is given. The fact that everything is run by sort of these, you get the feeling that it's big corporations. It's big corporations that are sort of running the thing right there. And it's a very capitalistic society. You got these conversations between the workers, like, are we getting paid? Sure, you're getting your share. There's like rules. If you discover something, how much you get. He gives you bits and pieces and just lets you put them all together by yourself. And the fact that people are completely expendable. So sort of when a new alien species is there, all of the crew is expendable pretty much.
Right.
I think that's where like Ridley Scott, on top of all the horror and the claustrophobic feel that he gives there, he gives you these sort of hints about what the world is actually like. And you take all of that sort of big setup and you keep it contained to a few characters in a claustrophobic ship, I think the sort of juxtaposition of these two things is superbly done. And I think this is one of the greatest sci-fi horror movies ever made, and not just a sci-fi movie. I think it's one of the best horror movies ever made. James Cameron, now he's the king. He's the king of blockbusters. He takes the premise, he injects it full of steroids in the best way possible, and breathes new life into it. The crew and the Marines, sort of the fact that they're sent in and they are like badass soldiers who are trained and armed to the teeth. That's also like, that is initially so exciting because it's so much different from the first movie. But the build up, again, it takes a lot of time. It pays homage to the original. It doesn't just throw you into the action. It like builds towards it. And I think that's where James Cameron is sort of the master as well. I think he doesn't only do large scale stuff. He sort of he builds it up, and he still gives you that tension. And he doesn't throw away the horror aspect either, which I think is very cool. I think you mentioned the ceiling scene. Mm-hmm. To me, one of the most scariest scenes ever is when Ripley goes to sleep, tries to find Newt. They fall asleep. And the fact that there is a face hugger, two of them in that freaking room, that is so damn unsettling. Yeah. And the fact, like the way they sort of just squirm away into the corner, to me, the face huggers in Aliens are actually more scarier than the xenomorphs themselves.
That's fair.
And there's like jump scares. They still freaking scare me. Having said all that, I'm going with Alien because I think it does something that so many horror movies nowadays are sort of trying to copy and do. And while it may not be that scary anymore, the tone and ambience in the first movie is sort of what takes it over Aliens.
Agreed. It's just first of all, Matty wants to say more of a blockbuster king than Michael Bay.
But it's still James Cameron.
It's even just the way it's shot, the film on the film, the tone, like the color scheme of the film just feels much more again. I love Aliens, but Aliens is much more of a gay fun horror sci-fi film, whereas Alien seems more complete as far as tone goes. Yeah, personal thing. So I agree. Alien
gives you that claustrophobic feeling. Just completely. You have the only setting is that one spaceship. Where in Aliens, you got a whole big planet, and there's sort of a big installation there, and they actually go off the planet and they fight. The final fight is on the actual like sort of space station or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's move on then. Finally, to better rewatchability for number 5. Better rewatchability on the final thing. I'll start this if you don't mind. Or did I start the last one? I think.
Oh, you can start it.
Okay, doesn't matter. All right. I think I actually continue on from what I had, the better premise, better tone. I said Aliens is more of a sci-fi fun action film. That's why I'll say right away, I give this one to Aliens, because I do feel Aliens is more rewatchable, because to me, rewatchable, it's a weird category as far as voting. When we talk about voting, every time we put it in there, and I usually throw it in there, and then I realize that it's a tough category to really vote against something on, because rewatchability doesn't necessarily mean a film is better or worse. Rewatchability can mean a lot of things, because you can have a rewatchability factor just because it's an easy movie to put on in the background while you're doing some work. Whereas Alien is a film that I would probably want to sit down and watch and engross myself in the feeling to really get its full aspect of it. Aliens is the easy rewatch. So it makes an easier call to say Aliens. But even when I'm talking to myself, I go, is this fair to Alien? Is this really fair to do? Because it's almost like I'm penalizing Alien for being a film that I want to actually sit down and engross myself with. You know what I mean? Is it better rewatchability versus easier rewatchability? Aliens, I could sit down and throw it on right now while we're talking. Every once in a while, I'd get the great one-liner. I had to turn around and see a big gun battle or whatever. It's kind of cool. Yeah, okay, cool. So with that being said, I did put the category in there. I think I might have to define this better in the future before we really sit down and use it again.
No, I think it's fair. I think this is the most subjective category.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what, because ask me a few years ago, I would have said aliens in my sleep.
Right.
Without even thinking about it. I think now that I don't know, hopefully matured in some way, I've understood the genius behind Alien way more.
Right.
I've seen Aliens so many times, and for good reason. It's pure entertainment. It has fist bumps. Its value, sort of production value, is bigger. But Alien gives you more to think about and appreciate the smaller scale horror and the characters. So
yeah, when I was young, the same thing. When I was younger, I would have said Aliens was easily my favorite of the two because of that aspect. But I really, as become more of a cinephile, I've become really learned more in depth about film. I always liked Alien. I always loved Alien. But now it's definitely a lot closer. Which one I want to put on? I guess it depends. Again, Aliens is definitely more easily rewatchable for that reason for me.
So I'm fighting for Alien in a way that I think
I'm glad
more to discover. There's more to discover with every rewatch of
100%,
Alien.
100%.
But we are talking about rewatchability, and rewatchability to me equals the fun I'm having. So it is more surface level, but I'm gonna have to go with Aliens because so I don't know, like watching horror movies sort of is fun as well in a fucked up way now.
I love horror movies. I watch horror movies. I just did a fucking podcast on Halloween, the entire franchise. I'm doing Final Destination right now. That's gonna be a great Utah film this week. But I guess
if you and me sit down and we're having like beers, we're definitely watching Aliens.
Yeah, we're definitely throwing Aliens on because it's much more. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's sad to say it away, but that's what I feel like this entire episode has been like for me. Every category, I'm kind of like, all right, I'll give it to Aliens, although I really like Alien. And then it's been a hard fought battle, but what can I say? It is what it is. That's just how the categories fall sometimes.
And if anyone still feels like they are asking the question which one is better, PLD is about to break that can of worms now and put his foot down, and this is the ultimate answer. No one can argue with.
Is that what we're saying now? Interesting.
Yes, that's what class action is all about.
Class action, right? It's a battle of the death. You can no longer ever watch the loser of this episode. It gets deleted from history. No, never. All right, well, the battle is over. We do have a clear-cut victory, a clear-cut winner here. The winner is Aliens, 7-3.
Clear cut. Wow. Okay, I'm actually very surprised because I gave Alien kind of a good. I think I gave it a 2 out of 3. 2 out of 5.
I only gave it 1 out of 5, and that's what really hurts me.
Oh, really?
I only gave it the bird tone.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, me too. Like, and it's all about. I came close to better crew. I came close to better Xenomorph. I came close to better rewatch. I could have gone 4 out of 5 Alien, but I didn't. Interesting. Similar to the argument of Terminator and Terminator 2 or Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. Absolutely. We actually mentioned
T2
it's definitely going to happen at one point. At some point. It's similar. It'll be basically a sequel to this episode, really. Matty Gunner saying 7-4. He's given Alien a proxy vote. Okay, that's fair. I'm interested to see, Matty, what you would have said in the 5 categories. We can get. It's not an official tally because you're not on the episode, but it would be interesting to see if it would have changed had Matty Gunner been on the episode. But that's where we end up with today. 7-3 Aliens. Good for Aliens. Good for Cameron. PJ's gonna not be happy.
Yeah, we're talking. Oh yeah, who the fuck cares what PJ thinks? Like, if you want to rave about James Cameron, let's rave about James Cameron. These are actually probably two of my most favorite directors.
Right.
Well, there's like the big 4 when it comes to me. I have James Cameron, Ridley Scott, Denis Villeneuve, and Nolan. Then there's Michael Bay.
Hey, Michael Bay. Campbell will get on you for Nolan for sure as well. Although Cameron, he will say Cameron post True Lies is the Cameron he has a problem with. He actually likes Cameron from back then. He likes Cameron from now. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. Again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave me a comment. If you want to join us on patreon.com/PLD Projects, we have a great crew there, great chat going on out there. I try to do some extra content. Hopefully, we can do some extra content this month and some hangout times, etc. I want to throw out a few names. Danielle Ramirez, Brandon Buckingham, Brandy Parker, Jeff Alterman, John Lestrina, Kelly W. Also, love you guys all and everybody else. Really help me keep the lights on, help this thing keep going. We will be back next week at some point. I'm not sure yet. We had a discussion off the air I'm in New York City next week on Wednesday, so the chance that either Matty and Jarvi will do an episode by themselves on Wednesday, or if we switch to a Tuesday, I might be able to join in. This whole month is kind of wonky for me, so we will let you know as soon as we know what we're going to do. But also this week, we do have episodes of Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film. PJ and I are starting the Final Destination saga. You get to see that. We recorded our first episode to drop tomorrow, doing it for our patron Brandy Parker. We love her. Also, Crown Jewels with Queen. I'm hitting a big one this week. This week's the episode on Killer Queen, the first really big international hit for the band, with guest appearance by John Lustrina. So definitely take a look at that.
Oh wow! Have you ever had a guest on?
I have not, because I couldn't figure out a way to do it, because it's such a one-person show. It's me basically talking at somebody, at the audience, so to speak. So what I did is instead I kind of compromised. I have the episode and I'm adding a interview segment towards the end where the two of us get to talk about it for about 5-10 minutes or so. Let me go back. So it's a little bit of I still get my cake and eat it too, so to speak, as it is. And also, I'll throw it out here now. Matty Gunner and I are going to be starting a Star Wars podcast at some point again. We're bringing it's the Scoundrels of the Force with a new name, since I sold the name for whiskey and a back rub at Spectacular to Brandon Hanna, Kevin Smets, Sean Sullivan, and Frank Janish. So we will come up with a new name. But starting in January, Matt and I will be talking Star Wars again. We can't wait to do that as well. I think that's everything. Where can the folks find you?
On Facebook and Instagram at Richard-Erik with a K Jarvi, and on Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd. I'm not on Twitter, so if you want to see some thoughts about movies, that's where you go to Letterboxd.
Okay. And I am on Twitter at Paul DiNuzzo on Twitter. I'm at Hive, the new social media, at PLD. Also, you can find me on Letterboxd. I think I'm just Paul DiNuzzo there. I'm not even sure. Am I PLD there? I think I'm PLD. It's on Letterboxd. I haven't looked in a while. I check it all the time. I just don't check what my account name is. So go for that.
I don't know either.
I'm pretty sure it's PLD. And and you can find me here every week for sure. I think I just had something else I wanted to say, but now I've lost it. Anything else?
Next week's topic?
No, we don't know. We don't know yet necessarily. We're not quite sure, so we'll let you know when we know. Oh, I know what to say. Spotify Wrapped came out this week.
Oh, yes.
I don't listen to Spotify very much, honestly. I use YouTube Music because I can upload my Queen bootlegs and stuff, so I usually use. But I am on Spotify as PLD Projects, and I got this right before we went live. I sent it out to our friends. Interesting enough, I don't know, maybe this is me, maybe this is algorithm. I don't want to look too deeply into it, so I'm just going to sit here and be happy with the fact that we were in the top 10% globally of shared podcasts, PLD Projects. So I'll take it. Maybe it's some kind of weird algorithm. Maybe it's not really true, but that's what they said, so I'm going to stick by it. That's the email I got. I'm sticking by it. So there you have it.
10% most
shared. Yeah, interesting, huh?
That's gotta listen to these jagoffs just talking nonsense.
That's what it's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's gotta be it. All right, folks. Stay tuned next week. Like I said, as always, we'll bring you more of this great content. Like, hit subscribe, and we will talk to you next week. But until next time, of course, justice has been served, folks. And yeah, what is it? Court is adjourned. That's right. Court is adjourned.